Hey everybody, Hugh here. Welcome back. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I did a long form video. If you like something for around 15 minutes on what's going on in the garden, there's been plenty of shorts that you will see popping up in your feeds over the past few weeks, grabbing snippets of the garden. But we did some work here the other day, and you can see a lot of spring is now unsprung and has been removed. And we are moving on to the summer selection, a mixture of late spring, early summer, and then summer selection. You can see it's looking very colourful indeed. There's plenty of things to see and do. Plenty to keep us working in the garden. Dawn's le jardin, but we have the patio set moved in over these past few days, thanks to Ms. Judith, and Mr. or Ms. Owl is there as well, just to sit and enjoy some time while the weather's still good. The red acer has been hardened off and introduced along with some of the other acers. There's the golden one. Return is just outside. Pot pond is springing away there. Camellias are growing. Osteospermums, carnations, rhodanthes, alstromerias, azaleas, geraniums. Still some daffodils, they're beautiful, pure whites, and some late tulips, some late planted tulips and then late to come up. Some of my Flowers metallicus. They don't fade, they just need a bit of a wash every now and again. Dad's copper bowl with osteospermum in it. Hostas, fuchsia I potted on, trailing fuchsia I potted on. It's got a little frame there for keeping it upright, so I kept the frame on it. And more acers. Hosta collection has been hardened off and is now out as well. So a lot's going on. We'll go into a little bit of detail. I know some of you will pop away at this stage. If you can, while you're there, just give me a thumbs up. He's putting his thumb into focus. And of course, do subscribe if you don't already do so. And I will do a little bit of just a walk around and see if there's any points of interest. I always enjoy getting questions where people are going, what did you do here or what did you do there? So I can go into a little bit more detail just on one or two plants. But the overall effect is also very lovely to take in. And I do mostly daily. Sorry, I'm bending down now to get my cup of tea. I'm giving you a close-up of a hosta at the same time. I do my daily shorts here and over on Instagram. Keep people updated just on the various changes, just snippets of what's changing in that. Now we put the tea down. Look at that, and that's magnificent. But anyway, a couple of questions that I've had. Hostas. Slugs love hostas. So how do you keep them as slug free as possible? I'll never say that the hostas are completely slug free, because they will get in no matter what you do. I saw them at one stage hanging like a rope, like a spider's web, coming down on top of some plants at one point. So no matter what you do, they will find their ways. But there are various tricks you can do. One of the pieces that's very effective is, of course, having slates, tiles or pieces of wood like that dampness remains underneath, and you can actually have a look, because during the day they'll hide. They'll also hide under the pots, so it's very easy to just take a look under the pots themselves to see if there's anything there. Now we've gone through these and they've been moved quite recently, so we're not overly worried about them being under the pots. That's not to say they won't make their way. There is some tape, copper tape around the pot. Now that's quite an old piece of tape. That's probably 5 years old now at this stage for that hosta, but it's a good quality tape and you can see it's still there. Don't have tape? Use some wire. So that's some copper wire that I have. You can see it tied it's sort of a bow around it. So you can of course use your environmentally friendly slug pellets. You can get those in your hardwares or your shops. Try to avoid the ones that have methaldehyde or poison on them. I don't are not good for anyone. But yeah, I get the aluminium sulfate, isn't it? And the iron based ones, which are a little bit more natural for the young garden. So you can see they will get in a little bit, but if you're doing various things like checking underneath, have some tiles or slates lying on the ground, a bit of wood, checking under those in the mornings, and as I say, some of the copper pieces, it keeps the leaves very nicely indeed, or is as nice as you'll get. It's funny, at this end of the season it's all about keeping them precious and keeping the leaves as good as we can get. As they get towards the end of the season, well, if a slug or a snail gets in, I don't tend to be fussed too much. There's head gardener Smudge looking to come out. Another question I have been asked is about these magnificent acers and the spring. Well, acers, especially these dissectum type Japanese maples, are very prone to frost damage, wind damage, sun scorch, you name it, they're quite prone to that sort of damage. So with these, we start them off in the spring. Once they begin to break bud, they get moved in under cover and they're brought indoors, just particularly, you know, late April, where we have frosts and the buds have actually burst. And that keeps them nicely protected. We then begin to harden them off once we get into early May. So by the time we're coming into now, what's this, the 8th, 9th of May, they're hardened off. It's not mean that the frost damage won't get to them. It doesn't mean that we're out of frost zones yet, because we might yet get frosts, and we can see about putting some fleece over them if we do, if we think it's going to be a blast. But at least they weather the worst of the frost that's there. So you can see magnificent plants, well worth taking the extra time if you have a space to have them covered in, such as a tunnel. And we've got the two houses there. It's the greenhouse, Ed's greenhouse. Ed donated that to me quite some time ago, and Terry's glass house beside it again. Terry, an ex-work colleague of mine, who's passed now since, passed it over. We do have some of the summer flowers out, the osteospermums. You can see there, that's the white, and yellow bidens. If the weather does turn, they will be put back inside, particularly for the worst of the stormy weather or any of the overnight frosts. And the likes of the copper bowl that Dad made, probably a little bit heavier to bring, be carting in and out, so if we are going to get frosts, they will get some layers of fleece, garden fleece of course. Well, I suppose you could use your jumper fleece as well, but garden fleece is the preferred piece to actually use. Now interestingly, when you're looking at the courtyard here in general, and then more specifically the staging area in the courtyard that's there, it's up against the house wall, so it has its own microclimate nearly, so it's quite sheltered, particularly as we get the frosts around later spring. Plants tend to be not as affected as much, but wouldn't take the chance with the likes of the geranium there. Again, that'll be just be whipped in under cover. There's a rose, probably year number 3, patio rose, year maybe number 4, that it's going on, and the leaves are lovely and glossy. There is some black spot around the place at the moment, so I have given them an organic fungal spray. If you're wondering what that noise is, that's the birds seeing me in the courtyard, and they're actually looking for more food because we've given them food already today, and typically with them, they're looking for more. They're like, time to feed us now, but we just tend to mostly put it out in the morning. Something that you wouldn't see, one of the viburnums going into lovely flower. It's particularly nice this year now. A mature plant, and looking over the top of the courtyard there, the wood on the courtyard is nicely faded. It does need to be touched up, but there is quite a character to it, isn't there, when it's like that. Clematis growing up, worth noting now, that's the variety Blue Angel. You can see it puts on such growth at this time of year that even with the mulching that I've given it in the pots, the leaves are quite pale, so it gets a couple of liquid feeds as well, because it is grown in a pot, similar to the salvia that's there. Again, some liquid feeds as well as a nice rich manure mulch around the top of it. There's the spring bulbs that would have been referenced so much over the past weeks when we were doing the long forms and the shorts. There they all are there, getting plenty of sunshine. It's a lovely sunny spot. Just been watering them, and again liquid feeding them. I'd say once every 10 days there or thereabouts, just to build up the bulb strength for next year is always useful. Well, we'll have a quick look in that. There is the grapevines. They've actually sprouted. I don't know if you remember them from last year. They were producing plenty of bunches of grapes, which I was thinning, but as I discovered, I didn't thin them enough, so we'll do a bit more of that. But anyway, actually what I brought you over here was to show you the dahlias are growing away. They're last year's dahlias that simply turned on their side in their pots. Turn them back around, giving them a mulch, bit of a liquid feed, and away they go again. Other various plants. Potatoes, salad potato, Charlotte, again growing in pots. Everything is growing in pots here because we said to the landlord we wouldn't grow anything in the ground, so they're coming along very nicely. And once the shoots are above the pots, we'll actually top up the pots with more compost, similar to what you do in the soil, and some onions ready to pot into 2 litre or maybe even 3 litre pots, and some sweet pea that are more than ready to go out. It's our weekend work into some bigger pots. You can actually see there's some flowers there, so we're going to get sweet pea flowers very soon. I think the earliest I've gotten sweet pea flowers has been April, but I wasn't trying for early this year now, so May will do just fine. And strawberries in flower, which means that there's going to be strawberries very soon. And the tunnel, since you would have last seen this a couple of weeks ago, has changed quite considerably. Where there was a lot of the courtyard plants that you now see in the courtyard were growing on, you can see it's slowly being converted into this sort of beans and tomatoes, and there's courgettes there, and there's a few more seedlings coming on there as well. So it's, you know, the sort of a food tunnel, I think is what I was calling it last year. There are still some flowers coming on. The fuchsias have potted up reasonably recently into our own compost mix, sieved compost from the previous years with some fertilizers added, and some French marigolds purchased and potted up. Gooseberry I came across in one of the discount stores, seemed to be in reasonable condition and was in full flower, so I was like, oh, so I purchased it, and it's actually producing some fruits, so it's like, oh, that could be nice. And some scallions there, still need to be potted out, said it every time, and various bits and pieces there. Just capture them on video for the purposes of recording. There's, if you're following me on social media over on Instagram or on Twitter, now known as X, I would have put up a picture there, and that's another Acer Negundo Flamingo, grown for these pink leaves. You can actually see there. Fabulous, isn't it? And the heat really suits it well. It just didn't do well last year outdoors, so we're leaving it in. Judith's lovely clematis, which is called a white pearl. And then we have Hugh's lovely clematis, which has got a few more flowers on it. Lovely big flowers too. There's the two of them side by side. This is the one I got at a reduced price that we were referencing over winter. And the variety, excuse me while I bend over there, is Destiny. So it was a bit of a, I wonder will this turn out okay. You can see that can of leaf beside it sprouting away there. So yeah, just I did see some tomato buds that are there ready to flower, so super to see. The likes of the smaller varieties typically will flower earlier, but any flowers are more than welcome, aren't they? That's because we know that after the flowers come the fruits, so happy days. Anyway, just a quick overview, not going to go into great detail, but just at a glance what's happening in the tunnel. Anyway, I'll go back to the courtyard to finish. So there we go, courtyard. as it is May the 8th, probably be May the 9th before you're looking at this, capturing it in all its glory. It's a fabulous time of year, isn't it, for the gardening. Hope it inspires, and of course you're getting out and enjoying whatever you're doing in your garden. Anyway, that's it for now. Look after yourselves, stay safe. We'll catch you on the next one. Slán. Bye for now.